This is a DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with David Garibaldi from Tower of Power. Hi, David.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Or say good evening. It's evening where you are, so.
So my first question today is the typical first interview question. So
Yes, sir.
What age did you get into drums, and what bands or artists inspired you?
Well, I started when I was 10 years old. Started in elementary school, school band program, which, you know, was really fantastic. Gave me a good foundation. I didn't get into playing the drum set till I was 15. From 10 to about 15, I was doing like concert band and marching band and, you know, those kind of things that were in the school band programs. And then started drum set when I was 15. And by the time I was 17, I was, my parents let me out. I was like, I played gigs and that kind of stuff. And, just continued that way. And then when I started getting into, going out to see bands, it was a lot different, when I was younger, because there wasn't any internet or anything like that. Things were very different. And so you got to see a band if they happened to come through your community. Otherwise it was, records and that kind of stuff. And so, it was really, this area was like really into, a lot of bands with horns, just like Tower of Power. They're like soul music, blues, that kind of stuff, jazz, a lot of world music, Latin music. I mean, all kinds of different stuff here. So you were just kind of had that going in your ears all the time, all these different things. And it really influenced the players and the kind of the way that music is made here, in the Bay Area, So Tower of Power was just a extension of what we grew up listening to all around us.
Good stuff. And can you remember what your first drum set was?
Yes, I still have them. It was a set of Slingerland drums, 1964 Slingerland drums, Satin Flame Pearl.
Oh, okay. Nice. And you've still got it. That's great.
I still have them. They need to be restored because they've been through, many miles. In the early years with Tower, they got pretty destroyed. I didn't really have good cases and all that stuff, but that was my drums. I didn't have anything else. And so, but I still got them. Yeah, they're still there.
Excellent. So what's your current equipment setup when you're out gigging?
Well, I've been playing Yamaha drums since 1982. Yamaha, involved in that. And so I like the recording custom drums. A 22 by 18 bass drum, 10, 13, and 16 toms. My signature snare drum, which is a 3.5 by 14, brass shell drum. I have a second snare that I use, which is a Spawn custom aluminum snare, which is a 3.5 by 14 as well. Fabulous drum. And cymbals, Sabian cymbals. I use a 21, a 17. This one is like a 14, 15 rather, sometimes a 15, mostly a 14. This is a 17, and then I have a 16 over here.
Cool. Now, this is a bit of a loaded question.
Yes, sir.
So here goes, as long as you know that it's a bit of a loaded one. So I believe that we all evolve as drummers and we take on different influences as we grow as musicians and as we get older. However, that said, if you had to pick just one, could you pick your all-time favorite drummer?
My all-time favorite drummer, in terms of like personality and creativity, I'm going to say still Tony Williams. But really, there are several drummers to me that are me, that are one. I turned them into one drummer, and said, okay, this is the super drummer. If I could be the super drummer, it would be these guys in one.
And who are they?
Okay. So Gregorico with Sly and the Family Stone, Zig with the Meters, Tony Williams, Elvin Jones, Bernard Purdy, Sonny Payne with Count Basie, Jake Hanna with Woody Herman, guys like that.
Yeah, that's a good list. And
it's a really good list. Yeah, that's kind of expanded a little bit. I've added another couple of guys to that who I really dig, that really are beautiful players, but really the basic ones, it's still that basic thing,
And that's kind of why I say it's a loaded question, because most people find it really hard to pick just one, even if they do have a favorite, that there's so many other players that have kind of made us play how we play. You're not going to be the drummer that you are without lots of influences, are you, really? So
correct.
So loaded question, and it's great that you can give a list of names for people to go away and look up. So do that if you're watching this. So what's been the highlight of your career so far?
Well, being a member of the Tower of Power. I mean, that's my musical home. I never wanted to be in any other band. Love at first sight. Everything that I am as a musician, as a result of my experience with them. It's been my gig, but also my school, my family. I mean, all kinds of different things, So we started as a band, then we, went to becoming a family. Then we went to, we've become an organism now, So it's kind of been a really great experience, continues to be.
And that's a really, really good career highlight, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have too many. I mean, but, all my career highlights, I would say, would be with them, as a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's great. From an educational point of view here, let's say you're learning a gig for a different artist, or a new song comes in that you're expected to play on. How do you go about learning what you need to play? So, do you transcribe the parts? Do you just listen to maybe something that's been given to you as an idea? Or I know it's kind of obviously slightly different when you're in a band and you're writing the drum part, but how's it kind of worked for you over your career?
Well, all the possible ways that you can put together your parts is kind of the way that it works for me. If I'm given something specific, then I create something based on, on what I hear. Most of the time I'm given the latitude of coming up with something that, that I want. I don't have to worry about, really playing from somebody else's head. So with Tower, sometimes it's beats. We'll build songs around the beats. Sometimes I'm given a song, and and the song really kind of always sort of dictates what I'm going to play. I always kind of let the music sort of speak to me. And, with Tower, we have a very specific stylistic thing, a very kind of personalized way that we approach songs. And so it sort of comes out like that. If I'm working for someone else, a lot of times I get instructions on what it is that, that they want. I'll rehearse always. I'll practice, learn my parts, kind of what I'm going to play, figure out transitions, if I'm going to do fills or whatever, it is. Is it a session where, I'm, it's going to be live rhythm section? Am I just overdubbing drums? is a more of a Pro Tools overdubbing kind of thing where, you know, you're doing section by section, you know, that kind of stuff. So recording's, you know, a lot of things these days, you know,
Yeah.
a lot different than it was when we, with Tower first started, where, you know, our very first session was the whole band playing in a room, you know, and, you know, to where the most recent recording that we did, where it was just me in the room with the producer and, you know, the band leader, and we're making up, you know, things as we went along, you know.
So talking about writing a track, let's choose something like one of my favorite songs, like It's Not the Crime. That is really, your drums really obviously have to lock in with all the other instruments. There's loads of stabs and accents. So was that something, you know, you heard the track first and then you kind of worked with the guys to get it to just slot in?
Well, first of all, that's not me playing on it. That's David. That's David Bartlett.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of any song that we do is get a basic idea of what you want to do with, you know, your parts and kind of the arrangement. And then, you know, they put the horns and stuff to it. I mean, the horns always come last around the rhythm section. And so, you know, that, Not the Crime tune, I played it with the band, you know, a number of times over the years, but, you know, that wasn't, I didn't originally, you know, like play on that, you know, that track. That was Dave Bartlett, you know.
Okay. Should have done more research on that one.
Well, you just got to do a little more homework, you know. I mean, it is a good track, though. I'll admit that. You know, it's really good.
I was thinking, should I choose that one because it's most rhythmical, like choppy one? But the other one I was going to talk about, don't tell me you didn't play on this one, like Squib Cakes or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm on that for sure. You know, that on the serious side, you know, Soul Vaccination, all those. We got a really good one called After Hours that's on the album called Soul Side of Town. That one's very recent, came out last year. That's pretty cool.
Cool. So, have you ever had anything go wrong on stage that you've had to recover from?
Such as?
Falling off the drum riser, or
no, never that. No, nothing that, you know, traumatic. You know, make mistakes, like everybody does. I mean, you know, the good thing about our band when I make mistakes is that everybody just is trained now. Everybody keeps going. You know, the train keeps moving. So, you know, I just have to catch up, you know. But usually if I'm paying attention, that doesn't happen. You know, sometimes, you know, I'll have a gear fail. You know, that occasionally happens where you break a pedal or something like that, you know, but none of that stuff really happens too much, you know.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah, these days with the technology we've got, although doing some of these interviews, I've heard some incredible stories of things going wrong. Yeah.
I mean, you know, we have really good people. We work just a ton. So our guys, everybody is like, you know, very proactive and kind of preventative in the way that, you know, they take care of the gear and shows and all of that stuff, you know, so that minimizes a lot of the potential risk, you know, of those things happening. And then, you know, when you're out on the stage, you know, you have to pay attention. You got to be, you know, keep your eyes on, your focus on what's going on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, that leads me nicely to my next question, I think. What sort of person do you think you need to be to successfully work in music?
You have to be willing to work hard, period.
That's it.
That's, you know, that's the number one thing. You know, you have to be, you know, willing to do what it takes. Yeah, just do what it takes to, you know, to make it happen for yourself. You know, not everybody is comfortable with having their art pay their bills. You know, not everyone is comfortable with that. And so, you know, you have to decide what kind of person are you? Is that acceptable to you? You know, you're going to be able to live through when times are a little rough, you know? Are you going to be smart and learn to save your money and that kind of stuff, you know, and be really, you know, wise about the decisions that you make regarding a career, that sort of thing? Are you willing to train yourself so that you can do lots of different things musically so that you're, you know, you can have a life that is enjoyable, you know, centered around your art, you know? If you have to work another job to help yourself so that your art can occupy the place in your life that it should, which is an enjoyable piece of your life, you know, then I totally for that. I think, you know, you got to figure out how you want your life to be and then create it. Just go for it. Build your life. That, you know, just takes a while.
Yeah.
But
good.
no secret. No secret. What do they say? Genius is perspiration in disguise.
And it's a lot of hard work, isn't it?
Yes, sir. No secret. There's nothing, you know, nothing else but that, you know. Well, they say the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. I hate to say these stupid little quotes, but all those things, they really live for me. I mean, you know, those things really, you know, mean a lot to me. And they're just loaded with practicality, you know?
No, it's good. They're good little things. It's great.
Yes, absolutely.
And going on to kind of your style of drumming, what advice could you give to someone that wants to play in a similar way to you? You know, so someone that wants to really get into funk. I suppose it's kind of more early on in their playing. What's quite a good thing to focus on and to practice?
Well, a good thing is I don't want anybody, what I always tell my students, I don't want you to sound like me. I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you, because that's where playing is the most fun, is when you are you. In the initial stages of any new endeavor, you have to do copying, because that's how you learn. You learn things by rote. But real learning comes from creating, not from consumption, not from putting more books into your brain and all this other stuff. You have to use the information that you're getting. So all my materials really are, I consider those things to be a presentation of ideas. So in all my books are ways in which you can be creative. My books are just one example of it, me. And so if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you can take that information and you can turn it into helping you develop what you're about. Because I think that's really important. You have to understand creating and understand process. And so creating is where you're building what you do. That's how you learn. Creating with the tools that you have at your disposal. You're not going to go play page 10 out of stick control on a gig. You're not going to play a permutation study from my book Future Sounds on a gig. But there are keys in there that show you how those things can be done, and you can apply those things to your own playing and build a voice for yourself.
I think that goes back again to saying about influences, isn't it? You know, making sure that you are your own you've got your own sound, or just drawing from lots of different influences.
Well, if you think about what we do, think about rhythm, think about it as language. So when you were born, you learned how to speak by imitating your parents. They taught you, they spoke to you. You couldn't speak back because you hadn't yet understood the words, but you were imitating the sounds. Pretty soon, you were able to say a word, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty soon, you're able to say 2 words. Pretty soon, you're able to say a sentence. Mm-hmm. And somewhere in there, you're able to respond to your parents when they ask you a question. Pretty soon, you're able to become conversational. Now, throughout that entire process, what is it that you're doing? You're using the language. It's in the use of it and the creating with it, your thoughts, right? Your thoughts, you communicate your thoughts by what? Speaking. And so rhythm is language, and you learn it in the same way. And so if you think about music as a conversation, and you're a good listener, then you know what to say. You know what rhythms to play.
Yeah.
No different. And it's just like that.
That's
Rhythm
great.
Is language. Playing music is language. It's a conversation. And the conversation dictates to you the content. Right? Just like now. You and I have a band right now. And this is what happens in a band. We have a topic we're discussing, a song, right? Each of us has a role in that to make it work. You ask me a question. I'm answering. You're listening. You ask me a question. I listen. Because I listened, I know how to respond. And so that's what, being in a band is. That's what, music is that. It's language. You're learning to become conversational with, the language of rhythm.
I can relate really well to that as well right now, because my 2.5-year-old has very much learned how to talk, and he won't stop.
He won't stop, right? Exactly. Okay, good. Good for you. Congratulations.
And watching that is incredible, because, you teach them stuff, but they just pick it up just from watching and observing. And it's so true what you say about then applying that to drums.
So the learning is in the doing this way, not this way, right?
Yeah.
So this way gives you an idea of what to do, but when you do it this way, then you're assembling what's in here, right? So we have what as drummers? We have singles, doubles, and flams at the most basic level. And then we create with those things. We apply those things to the concept of rhythm.
Yeah. I'm saying that all the time about people come in and they say, I want to learn this Swiss triple flammer McHugh, what's her name? And I'm like, but you need to get your doubles down before doing that, it's so true. So a couple of curveball questions for you here away from drums. So what are your hobbies away from drums?
I guess the main one is physical fitness. I love exercise. I was a runner for many, many years. I, stopped doing that after I had some hip surgeries, and I cycle. I'm really big in cycling. Love that. Any kind of physical fitness, yoga, Pilates, all that stuff. Being at home, hanging with my family. You know, my wife loves to cook. I love to eat. You know, just normal. All the normal things that everybody does. You know.
Yeah. Would you still class drums as a hobby, even though it's your job?
Yeah, because it really is. I mean, it's just it's very enjoyable. You know, it's challenging. You know, fun to do.
The reason I say that, I've said to quite a few people now with this question that I think we're really lucky that what started out as a hobby for all of us becomes, in one way or another, whether it's teaching, whether it's playing drums, you know, for Tower of Power, but we're really lucky because it becomes our job.
True. And it kind of goes from, the whole spectrum. It goes from, this most incredible high and enjoyment and satisfaction to, moments of sheer terror. It just kind of like covers that whole, the whole thing, but that's good because that's what life is about,
Yeah, absolutely. And this question, after you saying that you're into exercise and stuff, you did say food as well. So what's your favorite cookie?
Cookie?
Yeah.
Oh. You're going to laugh.
Okay.
Starbucks UK has ginger biscuits.
Ah, okay.
And those with an espresso, hard to beat, man.
Well, you can't get them
Not the same ones. Not
Ah.
the same ones. There's some kind of proprietary thing that Starbucks in the UK has. So every time I go to the UK, I get to Heathrow. The first thing I do before I do anything is I go get an espresso and Starbucks ginger biscuits. I'm not kidding.
Wow, I'll have to try them. I've not tried them.
I like them. I think they're fantastic.
Cool. Are they like fresh ones in the counter, or are they in a pack?
No, they're packaged.
Yeah.
There's probably just a lot of terrible crap in them. But still, it's really good.
But then you just exercise and get rid of that. It's fine.
Yeah, you just go play a couple gigs and you're all right.
Yeah, exactly. But would you? I mean, I know you're saying it's espresso, so maybe not. But would you dunk the ginger biscuit?
Hell yes.
Oh, okay, you would.
I mean, can't we just go all the way with it? I mean, come on.
I didn't know if it was a dunkable biscuit.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Especially in a very small espresso,
You just make it work, man.
You can make it work, exactly. So, my last serious question today. I mean, that was serious, though. Everyone wants to.
It was, yes.
If you could give just one bit of advice to up-and-coming drummers, so specifically drummers, what would that be?
Just don't be afraid to be yourself. And it really doesn't matter what the gig is or anything like that. You can still be yourself. I mean, I think that ultimately the most satisfaction that you get from anything in life is, when you're yourself. And, being yourself is always appropriate. It's never goes out of style. Creativity never goes out of style. And if you're yourself and you're thinking in a way that, enhances the music that you play or, and even the situations that you're in, you'll never have a problem because you're always acting in a respectful way. You're always respecting the people you're with, the situation that you're with, the music that you play, and being yourself is a lot of upside,
David, thank you so much for spending your time with us here at DrumWise today. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. God bless you all.